Hello everyone, Tasha here. I am so excited to be bringing you guys my first ever makeup tutorial. And welcome. This look I am calling Pretty in Pink. I'm ready to get into this and share with you guys the details of how I got this look. So if you're interested, keep on watching. Oh, and before I forget, I have to give a quick shout out to my boo who's doing the background music for this video. This guitar game ain't no joke. We out here. Okay, so quick disclaimer. I was watching a survival TV show while I was doing my makeup. I like watching documentaries. So randomly when my head moves out of the way, you might see documentary going on. Don't be alarmed. So I started off using the Anastasia Beverly Hills eye primer. I just take a small amount of that, not too much, and put that on the back of my hand. And then I mix that with the Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer in the shade Butterscotch. This is about 1 to 2 shades lighter than my natural skin tone, depending on the season basically. And I just mix that in with the primer right on the back of my hand. And here I'm going to be using the Sigma F75, I believe, concealer brush. And I'm going to be using the Cinema Secrets makeup brush cleaner to clean my brush off. This is the cleaner that I use before I do my makeup every time. If I haven't washed my brushes since the last time I did my makeup. It is fantastic, quick drying. I just pour it right into the top and just dip the brushes in and swirl them on a paper towel, and they come out clean, as you can see here. So I'm just mixing the concealer and the primer on the back of my hand. I start out just using concealer first to carve out my brows. This is a kind of a long process, so I sped this up a little bit, but it'll still take me a little while to get through. But you really want to take your time with this process. Some people may even need to draw in their brows before they do this. I generally know the shape that I want my brows to be, so I can typically carve them out without needing to fill them in first. And now I'll take the actual mixture of the primer and concealer, and I just place that all over my eyelid, and I just try to blend basically from my brow bone to the top of my eyelid, and just place that all over using the same concealer brush. It's pretty important actually to take the concealer all the way towards the front of your brow and eyelid, just because as you're doing your makeup later on, you want to make sure that there isn't a line of demarcation. Then I usually use my finger to blend it out. It really just helps to smooth out the edges and make sure that everything is nice and neat. And next, I'm going to be setting that concealer and primer with the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Setting Powder in the shade Medium Deep. And I just use a kind of a dense, fluffy brush to just set that. I normally set from my crease all the way up to my brow bone. I don't normally set my lid because I normally want the shadows to actually stick to that area. You could cover it lightly with powder if you wanted to make things blend a little bit easier, but I normally keep the setting powder from my crease up to my brow bone. And next we're going to jump into the Makeup Shayla collaboration with ColourPop for a Perception palette, and I use the shade Culture as my transition color. It's really close to my skin tone, not too far. I always like to have a transition color that's pretty close to my skin tone to make things blend out nicely. I believe the brush that I'm using here is the Morphe 315. It's just a big fluffy brush you use to kind of get the transition color all throughout your lid from beginning to end. You can be kind of messy with the blending of this since it's just for your transition area. So the first palette that we're going to be using today is the Anastasia Beverly Hills and Norvina palette, Volume 2. And we're going to be using 2 shades from this palette today. The first shade is, I believe, D3. And that is what I'm going to be using in my crease. And the second shade that I'm going to be using is A1. And that'll be the shade that I end up using on my lid later in the video. So I typically start by just blending the color right into my outer V area towards the end of my eyelid and crease. I was kind of disappointed with the color payoff of this shadow from this palette. On video it actually looks much more pigmented than it does in person. I think if you're of a lighter skin tone, this may be something that shows up a little bit easier on you, but if you're my shade or a little bit darker, you may have to just kind of keep packing on the color, keep blending it to kind of build that color up throughout your crease and on your eyelid. So the next palette that I'm grabbing is the Saharan Blush palette from Juvia's Place. This is Volume 1, and I'm going to be using the shade Zane in my crease. This is just kind of to help the pink from the other palette to really pop. As you'll see when I place this on my outer corner, much more pigmented, a lot more color payoff than the first pink. So this is just helping to deepen the crease, add a little more dimension to our eye shape, and really build that pink up. When I am blending, you see me kind of pulling at the outer corner of my eye. This really just helps to pull the eyelid taut, so as you're blending, you don't jump, you won't see any blank spaces basically as you're blending out your colors. Helps it to go a lot smoother. And then I'm going to take that same Zane shade from the Juvia's Place palette, and I'm going to apply that to the inner corner of my eye. I decided at this point that I was going to do kind of a halo eye look, so I just applied that to the inner corner of both of my eyes, and I kind of blend that out, leaving the center of my lid blank for our lid color that we're going to be using later. So we're jumping back now to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette, and we're taking that shade A1, and we're going to be applying that to the center of our lids. The brush that I'm using is a Sigma eye shader. This is a E55 brush from that brand. Sigma has great brushes. They're not the cheapest brushes, but they are decent quality, and they normally have a very good warranty as well. So I was applying that on my lid. I wasn't as happy with the color payoff, so I decided to actually use my finger, and the pigment showed up much better. As you can see, the color really started to pop. Some shades just apply better with your finger than they do a brush. So I decided to do that, and I was pleased with the outcome. And now we're getting ready to apply our lashes. These are from Shea Fallon Beauty Bar, and this is the style Motivated. They come with a reusable case, so you can reuse the lashes after you've used them. And as you can see, I'm super excited because they come with a spoolie. I love spoolies. I use them for my brows, lashes. They are dramatic a little bit, but they're not overbearing or anything. They really made the look pop, in my opinion. Typically when I'm putting on lashes, I definitely use liner in my lash line to kind of fill in that gap. Sometimes when you apply lashes, you can kind of see where your natural lash line is and where the lash band is. So to prevent that, it's best to apply eyeliner in your lash line so it looks more natural. I know a lot of people typically use like maybe a charcoal pencil for that, but I like using liquid eyeliner sometimes. And I just use Duo lash glue to apply the lashes. These lashes actually come with the spoolie, but they also come with their own glue as well. I didn't use the glue this time since I already had the Duo lash glue, but just so you know, if you do order these lashes, they come with a spoolie, they come with the lash glue, so you really have everything you need to actually apply the lashes. And they're actually really great quality, and they come at a really affordable price. If you do want to order these, you just go to S as in Sam, FallonBeautyBar.com. There's a link to that in my description. And if you use the code TASHA05, you'll actually get free shipping with these lashes. Totally worth it. I highly recommend this brand. Easy to apply and come with everything you need. Next, I am going to be priming my face with the Milk Makeup Primer. After I prime, I color correct my face using the LA Girl Pro Concealers. I use an orange shade just to cancel out any dark marks that I have on my face. I have some around my mouth, on my nose, under my eyes, and on my cheek areas. And I'm blending that out with an IT Cosmetics concealer blending brush. Next, I'm going to be applying the Laura Mercier Translucent Medium Deep Powder over the areas where I color corrected and the places where I get oily. This really helps to make sure that the orange that I use to color correct doesn't actually blend into my foundation. It puts a little bit of a barrier in between there. Sometimes if I don't use a powder to set these areas, my foundation can look orange, so I definitely suggest using a powder in between. And it actually helps your foundation to last longer before oil actually penetrates through if you put powder underneath your foundation. The foundation I'm using today is the Lancome Teint Idole in the shade 460. And I'm going to be mixing that with the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation in the shade Sandalwood. I tried to show you guys the label, but because of my ring light, it was really hard to see. But the shade is Sandalwood. After I have those mixed on the back of my hand, I normally just apply the foundation mixture all over my face, and I end up blending it out afterwards with a beauty blender. And that is a damp beauty blender. I don't use it dry. I know some people use a lot of different types of beauty sponges, but in my opinion, Beauty Blender is the best. I've used sponges from all different brands, but honestly, none of them have genuinely compared to the Beauty Blender, so that is my preferred sponge to use. Once my foundation is blended out, I jump back to concealing, and I use the Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer. This is the shade Maple, and I use that under my eyes, on my forehead, and on my chin. This is about one shade lighter than my foundation. When concealing, or actually when I'm highlighting on my forehead, I only go as far as the middle of each brow. I really don't suggest going any farther than that. just to make sure that the center of your face is highlighted rather than the highlight stretching across your entire face. And after that, I go back in with the shade Butterscotch, which is one shade lighter, and I use that to brighten the center of my face a little bit more. Don't mind the faces I have to make while applying concealer, and you'll see more of these faces when I'm blending out my concealer here. And you'll notice that as I blend out the concealer on my forehead, I'm not swiping. I don't really want to move that concealer any farther than where I've placed it. So I'm really just dabbing it. And then I use the other side that I used to blend out my foundation to make sure that my forehead highlight blends out into the rest of my face. And I'm using the ColourPop Cosmetics concealer in the shade 52. I felt like I needed a little bit more color correction around my mouth, and so this one has a little bit of a red or orange undertone, so I just used that to balance out some of the shadows around my mouth area. I like to blend towards the outside of my eyes, upwards. This really lifts your face when you're doing your makeup, when the concealer kind of goes up towards your brow bone or towards the end of your brow. It just lifts your eyes so they don't look droopy or anything like that when your makeup is done. To set my concealer and highlighted areas, I use a mixture of the Maybelline Fit Me powder and the Laura Mercier translucent powder to set those areas. I normally dip my damp beauty blender in those powders, and then I just press it on the back of my hand to get rid of any excess loose powder, and then I just press that in under my eye. I'm not really swiping, I'm really just pressing it into the areas where I applied the concealer. After setting the highlighted areas, I use the Sephora Micro Smooth Setting Powder and my Laura Mercier powder, and I mix those. And I use a large powder brush from Sigma to apply that to the perimeter of my face. I know I mix a lot of powders. I don't know why. I very rarely just use one product. I like mixing to get the perfect tone. But it all works out. Next, to bronze my face, I'm using a Morphe bronzing palette. Unfortunately, I actually don't think that this is available for purchase anymore. This is a palette that I received from IMAT's convention a few years ago, and I have yet to find it on like the Morphe website or in any stores that I've gone into, unfortunately. But I just use that to warm up the perimeter of my face. I use a small amount of bronzer to warm up my nose area. It's important when you are adding warmth to the center of your face that you blend it up into your brow bone. It just adds more definition to your face and brings the look together. For my brows, I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in the shade Dark Brown. I just brush out my brow hairs in the direction that I want them to go, and then I proceed to outline them and then just fill them in. I know some people like to use brow gels to kind of hold their hairs in place. I don't really have any trouble with my hairs going all over the place, so I don't normally use that. I just outline them and brush it out to soften the edges and fill them in. I use a heavier hand towards the tail of my brow, and I use a softer hand towards the front of my brow. Is it just me, or, I mean, are y'all seeing these lashes though? I'm still not over this. Y'all better hop on over to sfallonbeautybar.com, you hear me? Next, I'm using a short smudger brush to blend our crease color under my eyelid. So I'm going back into that Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette, and I'm taking that shade D3, and I'm just going to blend that under on my bottom lash line. So I'm really gonna take the shade and kind of pack it on under my eye and then just blend that out. Here I am just getting ready to apply the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist to set my face. I normally cover my eyes just to make sure that my lashes stay intact. I really drench my face, as you guys can see, and then I just use something to help it to dry quickly. This honestly could be a stopping point for some people, but I'm going to go in after this and start applying highlighter. So this is the Makeup Forever Pro Sculpting Duo. It is my absolute favorite. As you can see, I'm like on period. There is no highlighter that I love more than this one. I've actually had it for quite a while. You will basically have this highlighter forever because it just lasts forever. I use it as my inner corner highlight on my eye, and I'm also going to apply it to my brow bone. The shade really just makes everything pop. It is fire. You hear me? Fire. When applying highlighter to your brow bone, you don't really want to go too far in or too far out. You really just want to apply it right under your arch and then just blend that highlight out. Now I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit, and I'm using the highlighter shade Bronzed. And I'm going to use that to highlight my cheekbones and above my brows and on my nose. And I believe I actually placed this on my Cupid's bow as well. Glowing, you hear me? Glowing, sis. Now I'm gonna use the Artist Couture collaboration with Jackie Aina, and I'm gonna be using the shade Le Bronze. I'm actually just using what's in the cap because you really don't need any more than that. It's pretty pigmented, but this shade looks amazing on my skin tone and just adds to that glow. Can we just take a moment and appreciate the glow? Yeah, sis. So this is after I applied my wig from Peak Mill Hair and Wigs. This is the Ife unit from her website, custom ordered 20 inches that I just straightened out. And here is my final look. I'm very happy with how it came out. Love, love, love this look. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully there will be many more tutorials to come. Please make sure to follow me on social media, like and comment. My page name is @TashasTechniques on Instagram, Facebook, and on the YouTube channel that I will be starting. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, be blessed.